YouTube. I'm back this week with a selection of brushes. By the title, I'm doing something a little differently this week. I'm reviewing the entire Koyomo series of brushes. So that includes the face brush, the blush brush, the round eye brush, and the flat eye brush. I've previously done a video on I've previously done a video on the Koyomo brushes as a whole, but in that video, I did not show application of or using these brushes, which is what I'm going to do today. Someone requested that I show them how to use this Houkodou GS2 brush, so I'm going to be demonstrating how I use that as well as how I use this one. And I decided to throw the other Koyomo brushes in there to give a thorough demonstration. The other brushes I'm going to be using in this video are the Bobbi Brown Full Coverage Face Brush. This is the Koyomo Pearl Pink Blush Brush, the Koyomo Pearl Pink Face Brush, the Koyomo Pearl Pink Shadow Brush. That's different from the flat eye brush you see here. This is also from Koyomo, but this is from a different series. As you can see by the handle, this is the Hana Gradation Benny handle. And then I also have the Hakuhodo J5522 over here. The Hakuhodo Ogi fan brush. I don't remember the number for this one. Give me a second. The Hakuhodo F8132BK. Or no, this is not the BK SL. This is the Hakuhodo F8132. This is, as I mentioned before, the Houkodou GS2 for comparison purposes, and I'm going to use it too. This is the Houkodou GS1, and this is the Koyomo BP036. I'll be explaining more about each brush as I go along and as I use them. So I'm going to be starting with the face brushes and then moving on to the eye brushes. And then a brush that I couldn't fit into my stand holder here is the Hakuhodo B104 BKSL. This used to be called the J104 if that's what you're more familiar with and you're confused. So, good job me. I forgot my foundation. This is off to a great start. Okay. Going to be starting with the Bobbi Brown Full Coverage Face Brush. This is a really classic foundation brush. Dense, round, domed head. Synthetic bristles. And what this brush, the reason why I bought this brush is because I had really, really bad acne prior to Accutane. And this does deliver on the full coverage aspect promise of its name. But I still find it good to use even now. Even though I don't need as much coverage now, it's still good to cover little pigmentation areas here. I don't use it as much nowadays because I prefer using the Koyomo Fupas. But I still rotate this in and out of my usage. The only problem I find with this brush, and it tends to be true of most densely packed synthetic brushes, is that it's a bit difficult to clean in comparison to dense brushes with natural bristles. So something like the Koyomo Fupas, those seem to let go of pigment much more easily than, say, this one does. Got my mirror here. And the reason why I put soft glam in the title is because that's the style of makeup that the person who requested that I demonstrate two of the brushes That's her usual style of makeup, so I'll be showing her how she can use those brushes to achieve the same effect or achieve the desired effect. I'm going to be using the Hakuhodo B or J104. It's called the B104 now. Completely round goat brush, domed, moderately dense. It's really packed down here and flares out a lot unless you keep it in a brush guard. Then it becomes more like this. Just going to use this with powder to set all over my face. Using this as a powder brush to create a dry surface so that any product I apply over it will blend evenly. This is the Koyomo flat eyeshadow brush. This one is from the, give me a second to find the name, it's really long. This is the Hana Gradation Benny flat eyeshadow brush. The brand name is not technically Koyomo. Koyomo describes the type of hair. It's the old stock goat hair that was harvested, I think, in the 70s. And then the brand name is Tsubokawa Mouhitsu. But most people don't use that. They refer to these brushes as Koyomo. What's special about this one is the handle has a lacquer over sparkles that do an ombre from dark pink to very pale pink. And then this brush here is about $50. It's twice as much as the base model. They do sell this exact same brush head, this goat hair brush head, in a regular pink handle. Oops. Like this one. This is the Hana Gradation Benny. This is the pearl pink handle. And the pearl pink handle of this version is $25. So as you can see, nice flat head. I'm gonna use this one to apply under eye concealer. The brush is exceedingly soft and thanks to the rounded edges, it blends out without you really having to put any effort into it. And it works because it's a goat hair and it's a very resilient goat hair. Ototsuho has the thickest body of most of the commonly used goat hairs. So it has a lot of resilience to it, which makes it great for blending. Ototsuho is what the Fupa 02 and 07 that are not 02. The Fupa brushes that I commonly use, that's what they're made of. This old stock has a silkier feel to it, and most people would probably find it less prickly. I don't sense any prickles at all. This might as well be Saikoho goat hair for all I know. But I do know better, and it's not Saikoho. Okay. There's that. I'm gonna go back in with the powder, what's left on the powder brush, and set that. And then I'm going to hit a couple areas of more pigmentation with the concealer. The concealer that I'm using is the Lancome waterproof, long-lasting under-eye concealer. But I use it pretty much everywhere because it lasts a long time and it doesn't budge. Okay. So next I'm going to show you the, okay, let me find the name of this one. This is the Nadeshiko Pearl Pink Shadow Brush. So this is a flat shadow brush, this is a shadow brush. The flat shadow brush denotes the name of the shape, and then the round version is just called the shadow brush. The Nadeshiko Pearl Pink refers to this handle. It's not going to show up on camera, but in real life it has this sort of opalescent pink pearl sheen to it. And as you can see, the handles are different lengths. So if you have really large hands, you may prefer you may have to upgrade to the at least the Hana series because they have a longer handle and they also have this nice taper here that fits into a grip. This one is just a basic straight handle, but it's very well made because the handle and the ferrule joint are absolutely seamless. I've had these brushes for 4 years and none of the engraving has even moved. So I'm going to start with eyes. This is a rather loose packed brush. As you can see, if I push it all the way over, I can catch a little bit of the edge of the ferrule, but it's the size and the flexibility of it that I really like. So I'm going to be using this Inglot Shadow in 357 as my base shadow. So I'm using it like this for right now. And I'm just sketching out and shading the shape of the eye I want it to be. I tend to use my brushes parallel a lot rather than perpendicular like this. I use a perpendicular if I'm really trying to blend out. But if I'm doing laydown, especially with this brush, well, most brushes actually, I do it in a parallel motion. Okay. Try to move closer so you can see more of what I'm doing and how the brush is performing. Okay, I'm gonna darken up the other eye to match the right. My right. As you can see, this is very buildable, in part to the brush and in part because of the shadow I'm using. Now I'm going to do a little bit of a halo around the under eye because I think this is how you do soft glam makeup based on the pictures I look at. I'm going to go all out with the soft glam and do false lashes, but I'm going to do the general eyeshadow shape. From what I can see, it's just a smoky eye toned down using neutral colors. And I'm spending so much time perfecting the shape because the base that I lay down guides everything on top of it that comes later. Okay, now that I have the definition for the eyes, I'm actually going to contour the rest of my face to kind of shape out how I want things. This is the Hakuhodo J5522. It's one of their larger size blending brushes. This one kind of tapers to a point. There's the J5533, I think, that doesn't have this point. It's much flatter on the top. I prefer the 5522 because I find it more versatile. And because it has a very large shape, you can use it for either a base laydown or as I'm going to use it as a face brush. So I'm using this almost vertically. Wiping off excess. I'm going to take a little bit of this up through the temple. This is a more gray and cool tone color, so this is just going to provide what looks like a hint of a shadow compared to the actual warmer base shape that I laid down earlier. I'm going to do a bit down the nose. What I love about this is it just fits into the hollows really well. And then as for under the chin, I really don't care as much, but I do it anyways. Especially back here to give it a little bit of color where it's usually paler because my hair is down and it covers it from the sun. So that was this brush, the J5522 from Hakuhodo. Gonna do the face. This is a limited edition Burberry blush, but it has a mixture of a blush color and a pale pink highlighter, and I'm just gonna use both indiscriminately. And this is a round brush. Sorry, I forgot to show you. It's about mid-sized. And it has a very nice density and resilience to it. It effortlessly sweeps on color though, because the Ototsuho hairs grab a lot of product, but they also blend extremely well. So that's this. This is the Houkodou GS2. There's a couple brushes on CD Japan that it might be confused with due to its name. This is Houkodou, but there's another brand called Eihodo that makes a GS1 with the dash in a different place, and it's made of gray squirrel hair rather than Canadian squirrel, which is what this one is made out of. Again, it's a large eye brush that can be used for base. It can use for setting powder under the eyes, or it can be used as I like to use it for highlighter. Grab this. And Canadian Squirrel is a really strong blender while being exceptionally soft. I like to highlight the sides of my forehead to widen it a little bit. If you're wondering what I'm saving this brush for, it's for finishing at the very end. Because I plan to apply something the girl on meteorites. I like to use this brush because it's not the most dense face brush, unlike the J104. This is very packed in there and dense. This is suitable to be a setting brush as well as a bronzer brush and finishing brush because of the unique build and type of hair that it uses. So I didn't forget about it. It's still here. Okay. I'm actually going to go in with a less pink highlighter just to top it. Because that's looking like too much pink. And I'm not going to use a pink highlighter on my nose because that would look sort of odd. But I do have a bit of residual pink pigment in here, which will help the colors look more harmonious. Okay, time for the eyes. So, I'm actually going to go back to this brush, grab a mid-tone color. These are all MAC shadows. I have no idea what the color names of them are anymore, so we're just going to run with it. Using the flat of the brush, I'm going to lay that down. It's very rough right now. About there, okay. Now I'm going to use the 5522 that I used earlier on the face and use it to blend out the edge of the medium dark shade that I just put down. Wipe it off. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of pushing the edge of it up. Taking what's left on the brush, fixing the shape, and blending some more. Gonna wrap it. Okay. I don't have much lid space, so we're gonna see how adaptable I can be. So this is a GS1, this is a GS2. There's a ginormous size difference, so they really serve different purposes. This is almost like a precision brush, while this is like an all-over blender as well as lay-down brush. So, because I have pink, let's see. I'm gonna go for this color, some sort of red. I'm gonna use this all over my lower crease. Lower lid. I don't know if this counts as soft glam anymore, but This is more to show that yes, this brush is capable of putting down color really strongly. So I guess it depends on the formulas you're using. Okay. They are the same height, it just doesn't look like that on camera. Great. Taking this brush. And on the edges. What I'm doing here is I'm angling it down into the crease, like that. Or above my crease, which is where I ended the color. So I'm poking into the orbital socket. And due to the precision of it, thanks to that tip, can wrap around the under eye. And to take our concealer brush from earlier. Whoops, that's not the concealer brush. That would have been bad. I'm going to take a concealer brush, clean up the edge under the eye a little bit. Intensify the edge out here. Okay. And then the good thing about Canadian Squirrel is it cleans off very easily. I'm just going to wipe this on the back of my hand. I'm going to go in with another color on the inside. Which color do I want to use? I'm going to use a matching pink color. Pink with gold reflex. And now you can see that spotlight of the pink gold versus the red. I'm going to go back in with the Inglot shade. And this warm color. So now I'm going to use this brush again to apply this color, this slightly warmer brown, between that dark and the red area. This will sharpen the contrast a little bit. And I'm only applying it on the outer 2/3. I'm going to take this under here and go right underneath where the color is. I think I'm going to intensify the red a little bit more. That kind of got lost a little bit too much for my liking, but I guess this would be considered a very soft look. So, and then now I'm using the brush dipped in like this, and I turn it sideways. So then I can get very close to the lash line. Applying more red on the outer corner. Because if I'm going to wear a red eyeshadow, it might as well be very evident. And there's barely any pigment on this brush that's red, so using that to wipe away. Okay. Next, I'm going to use the Koyomo BP036. This is my multi-purpose pencil brush. Hi, sorry I didn't notice you get here. This is Kolinsky, pointed, round, quite precise. I'm gonna go in this slightly golden yellow color. And apply it here. Being really messy about it because once I blink for a couple minutes, it'll blend itself in. Where I am going to be more precise is down here. Kolinsky is known to be the softest hair, so if you have sensitive water lines or a sensitive lid, this might not be ideal, but I've never had a problem with it even when I was on Accutane and my skin was really sensitive. Okay. And lastly, I'm going to be using this Ogi fan brush. This is from the 2017 autumn set, but I believe it is available in the permanent line as the, one second, as the F8132. Different handle, of course. This is a limited edition ombre lacquered handle. It's very thin. It's meant to be used as a eyebrow brush, but I like to use it as a liner brush, and I'll show you how in a second. This is Gray Squirrel, but because of how it's been packed in there, it's extremely resilient. So I'm going to be taking this dark brown. I'm going to be using it like a liner. I'm going to intensify with it. So I've dipped it like this. I'm going to wipe off excess on the back of my hand. Now I'm going to use it like a liner brush, perpendicular right on. My hand slipped a little bit there, jabbed it into my eyes. I'm fine. And something I like about this brush, if you line it up with your outer corner and flick it up, you get a perfect cat eye, but I'm not doing that this time. Thanks. Okay, I might do it a little bit. I'm using this one to line my lower lash line. With the dark brown, make it a little darker. I'm going to bring the light color in a little bit more. So as you can see by how I'm lining my eyes, this can very easily be used for eyebrows, but I don't have an eyebrow color. I don't think this brown would look very good in my eyebrows, but hey, let's play around and see. It's a little too warm for me, but hey, this is about the demonstration, not about the look, right? have a little too much product in my left eyebrow, so I'm gonna go erase some of that with a spoolie somewhere here. And then I got a bit of powder above my eyebrow where I didn't want it, so I'm just running spoolie back and forth to grab it and take it out. This one, I definitely applied way too much. So same thing. And also because my lighting is uneven and coming in on slant, it's gonna look a little funny. I don't like how high that is. Where did my concealer brush go? Here it is. And now because I have this brush that I've been using to clean everything, I'm just going to try to use it to take some of that pigment out, which worked pretty well. Good eraser brush. Okay. Being back far away looks okay. And take some more. And now what I'm actually going to do is make that a little less obnoxious, I guess you'd say. I'm going to take my brush, clean it on the back of my hand. There's a lot of pigment still coming out of it, but I don't want all of it out. I'm going to be using this color. I like to wiggle it to really get the product loaded in. Check the color on the back of my hand. And this. And start coloring. So now you can see it's not as shiny. It's a little more muted, darker. And I'm going to flip to the other side of my brush where there's still more product. I'm going to grab more off the back of my hand. I need a little bit more. Now I'm using a flat. Earlier I was just using the edge. I'm going to use the tip now and bring that dark color in. Just a third. Like that. And I'm going to shade down diagonally. Bring it in just a third, then shade down diagonally. Okay. And because that edge still looks a little too harsh to me, I'm going to be going back in with this brush that has practically every color on it already and softening that edge by going back and forth with very small circular motions. So I'm assuming I did this soft glam look right. Overblown, very blended out eyeshadow. I would use the fan brush for powder products only because it is gray squirrel. There are fan brushes in the Ogi line like this shape, but they're made of goat, so you could use those with pomades. Okay. Mm, this. Hmm. Going to would be adding glitter too much. Yeah, no, I'll skip the glitter. Anyhow, I'll finish off with mascara and then run through all the brushes again. I just realized that I think my eye look was inspired by the shirt I'm wearing. Red with golden scarlet apples. Okay. Should have curled my lashes. Oh well. Okay. Oh, I forgot. Last thing, I'm going to use this brush with a ambient lighting powder. As I said before, this is not the densest brush. It's about medium and it has a lot of spread. So I'm going to be using this with ambient powder to finish off my face. It's the same one, ethereal light, that I use in practically every other video. And then as you can see, because of the spread, it'd be a very good and efficient brush for bronzer. That's the pink pearl pink face brush. So I suppose I'll go in order. This is the Bobbi Brown full coverage face brush. Synthetic bristles. This is quite old and it's held up very, very well. I don't prefer the synthetic hair as much as I do the natural hair on the Koyomo Fupa, so I don't use this one as much nowadays, but I keep it in rotation. And it's the foundation brush that I use today. It can be it can be used to apply anything from just regular cover base makeup to really, really full coverage. And I use that with my usual Kevin Kwan Sensual Skin Enhancer 07. not super dense, and has nice flexibility to it, so it blends effortlessly. I set my makeup before using the rest of the powder products with the Hakuhodo B104. This is goat hair. They don't specify Saikoho anymore, but it's a very soft and fluffy goat brush. If you don't prefer your brushes to be as big, you can put a guard on them. And then this brush can be used for setting powder, finishing. It won't move the product underneath, and it can be used for bronzer as well. Following that, this is the Tsubokawa Mouhitsu Koyomo Nadeshiko Pearl Pink Face Brush. This is made from goat Ototsuho hair. The grades go Saibikoho, which is very soft and very hard to find, then Saikoho, which is the normal good grade of hair, then Sokoho, which is the slightly lower but still premium, and then there's Ototsuho, which is generally not considered premium, but because this is old stock hair and I guess the cuticles and whatnot have a special alignment to them, these feel very special. So even though they're supposed to be a stiff hair, the Ototsuho in the Pearl Pink series feel nothing like the Ototsuho in my, say, Fupa '07. The hairs are much straighter and have less of a wave to them. These are fantastic brushes. This is the Pink Pearl is the baseline for the Koyomo brushes, and I cannot highly recommend them enough. I would say you don't even really need to upgrade the handle or upgrade the hair to Soko or Saikoho. I don't keep my brushes with a brush guard. It depends on what I plan to use them for. I'll explain that a little bit more in the end after I've run through all my brushes. This is the Tsubokawa Mouhitsu Nadeshiko Koyomo Pearl Pink Blush Brush. Same Ototsuho hair, super silky because it's that very thick body. It's very resilient. This one feels almost dense. Easily one of my favorite blush brushes. Next is I'm going to skip all the names. This is the Koyomo Shadow Brush. The Shadow Brush is the round model, and this is the original eye brush that they have. Looser on the end of on the looser end of an eye brush. As you can see, the ferrule is not crimped. It has a lot of flexibility, but also has a very nice snap back for good blending. And then later on, they introduced the flat shape. This is the Hana Gradation Beni. The Hana refers to this sort of bulb-like handle. The gradation, obviously, is ombre, and then Beni is the pink. They also have the Hana Walnut and the Hana Black Red Lacquer. I can't remember the exact name of it, but regardless, this is an upgrade in handle. But the head of this one is still Ototsuho hair. Very springy as a result. You don't have to upgrade, but I did just for this one because I wanted to see what it was like. So these 4 shapes are the shapes that Tsubokawa Mouhitsu offers for their Koyomo line of brushes. And now we've got the normal brushes. This is the Hakuhodo J5522 big eye blending brush that can be used for base. I've been using it for face contour, nose contour, and also just blending out edges. This one I tend to use earlier on in an eye look. It is big, but it is tapered. There's a version where the top is almost flat with a rounded corner, the 5533. That one has a bigger effective surface area. I prefer the 5522. This is the Koyodo BP036, one of my all-time favorite brushes. I've featured it in other videos before. This time I used it for inner corner and lower corner. This, because it's Kolinsky, it has a very nice snapback to it. And then it can be used for cream products, such as if I were to apply lipstick with it. This is the Hakuhodo. I'm gonna have to look up the name of this again. This is from the Ogi series, the fan series. And this is from the 2017 autumn set. They didn't officially give it a name, but based on the fact that this is blue squirrel and the measurements match the measurements of the Hakuhodo F8132BKSL, I'm going to assume that this is made with the same head as the F8132BKSL. Both are blue squirrel and both are 6 millimeters long and have this blade shape to them. This is meant as an eyebrow brush. I like to use it as a liner brush for near the lash line, and also I use it. I'm pretty sure I have a video of this on Instagram of me doing a cat eye flick with it. Great brush. And lastly, we have the Houkodou GS1 and GS2. This is the size difference between them. Both of them have the 24K plated ferrules, or maybe it's 22K, with a clear coat to protect them. Both are Canadian Squirrel, so they are very soft, but they have great controllability and blend like a dream. They function almost like a goat brush, but they have that softness and that silkiness of squirrel. So the problem I have with Houkodou, and this isn't even their fault, is Eihodo has similar brushes that they name in a very similar fashion. For example, so to be clear, this is a Houkodou GS1. This is the Eihodo S1. They're both Canadian Squirrel. At first glance, they seem very similar, but as you can see, the Houkodou starts tapering at a later point, so it's more full. And this is not a result of how I washed or stored them. This is just how they're built. This one has a much more tapered point. So this is the Houkodou GS1. This is the Eihodo S1. And then Eihodo further has another brush called the GS1 that's made of gray squirrel and has a handle that looks almost identical to this gold ferrule black handle, but I think it's shorter overall. So if you're looking for the Houkodou one specifically, be sure you double check. It's the GS1 from the Brilliant Gold series, and it's made of Canadian Squirrel. And of course, that's from Houkodou. Similarly, the GS2 has a very similar sounding twin in the Eihodo line. Eihodo makes a brush called the GS2 with the hyphen in a different place, but it's made of Kolinsky instead. So that one's less likely to mess up, but if you look up GS2 on Koyomo, if you look up GS2 on CD Japan, be prepared to be confused. So make sure you check that it's Canadian Squirrel. Again, same deal. Canadian Squirrel is very resilient, bounces back. This is like a more, how should I say, restrained MAC 217. It's slightly smaller and then sleeker and more together. So not only can I use it for blending the edge, I can use it for applying with the flat and shading. And I can also turn it on its side to really get closer to the lash line if I want to just apply, like, say, a V of darker color. So I've used all these brushes intermittently as I was doing the video. So you really have to look to see where I'm using it and how I'm using it. Pay attention to orientation. I suppose I should have said that at the beginning. But those are all the brushes for today. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'm going to get to your question. So that's the video, folks. Now it's just answering Joe Hart's questions. So these two I keep in a brush guard. This one I tend not to keep in a brush guard. And the time when I put a brush guard on is right after they're dried, after I'm done washing them. So I don't like to dry them with brush guards on because I find it takes longer and it just um, I would like them to dry as quickly as possible. And also because I find that putting a brush guard on after the brush is dried doesn't impact the shape as much as it does when it's damp. So, for example, if I put this on when it was damp, the brush would look like this. And you put it on after it's dry, it looks more like this. Dried without a guard, it looks like this. With this brush, dried with a guard when damp, it'll look something like this. Not something I want. This is it stored with a guard. So it's been dry. I put a guard on it. This is how it looks. If I dry it without a guard, it's more splayed out and looks more like this. So as you can see, closer to this kind of distribution. Same thing with this one. I don't like my cheek brushes to be super big, so I store it in a guard, but I don't wash it with a guard. Otherwise, it would be a tiny little blush brush like this. I'll probably do a washing video sometime later this week, but I use a soap that I would use for my face. And then I dry my brushes for a lot longer than other people have recommended. So I'll explain that in my brush washing video. So keep an eye out for that. All right. I'll probably be doing that sometime later this week. I've got a massive amount of them to wash. It's kind of embarrassing, actually. So that's the video. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.